We are now into what I call the psychotic stage of the Palestinian war against Israel. You don't have an intifada, there is no organization, there is no leadership, there is no command. It's an atmosphere, a climate that was in many ways created by the Palestinian Authority, nice old Mr. Abbas, which drives teenagers, mainly from some of the neighborhoods of East Jerusalem and the Hebron area, to take a gun, to take a knife and stab somebody. One of them was an 80-year-old woman, or ram a car into a border police guy on the roadblock. We see signs that it's beginning to subside in terms of intensity. So far we had altogether, let's say, between 60 and 70 Palestinians killed. About 12, I'm afraid it's going to be in the next few hours 13, because somebody is in very bad shape in hospital in Jerusalem. 13 Israelis killed. It doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't have the support of the great majority of the Palestinian population. The Palestinian population in general in the West Bank is under the impression of the results and the consequences of the Second Intifada, the one led by late Chairman Arafat. For them, that was a fiasco, catastrophe, a failure. They don't want to go back there. For the first time, by the way, we have in the recent weeks articles and people on the Palestinian side coming out publicly, loudly, against the stabbings, saying we don't want to go there, and there are so far no repercussions. It never happened before. So the people that we see with the knife are teenagers. Almost all of them. It's people who don't have a recollection of the Second Intifada. They have not been there. They heard stories. They believe in the myths produced by Arafat and his lieutenants. And the atmosphere is such that when Israel hands back the body of the guy who tried to stab somebody and was shot to the back to the Palestinian Authority, then you will have tens of thousands in the funeral, screaming all sorts of anti-Israeli slogans, and then they will go home. There will not be a demonstration, a big demonstration, or thousands on the streets, as we have seen in the second and especially the first Intifada. That doesn't happen. It's a teenager affair. In a way, also a protest against their leadership, against their elders, etc. But one thing I owe you, which is why. And the why has two explanations. One, Israel. We have a very dangerous process in Israel in which the government has lost control to a great degree over a group of hardcore extremist youngsters who do not recognize the state of Israel. We are speaking of something between 300 and 500 young guys. On the heels of different illegal outposts in the West Bank, with some support group inside Israel. The Israeli security services, for this or that reason, were unable to control this phenomenon, to bring people to trial. Now they are using administrative detention. About 30 to 40 and more are prevented from going to the West Bank. These people were carrying out all sorts of provocative actions against mainly Palestinian property, but as was the case in the village of Duma, also killing people. This signaled to the Palestinians that maybe, and this would be their inclination to believe, that maybe this is somehow sanctioned quietly by the Israeli authorities. So there was this loss of control over the Hill Boys on the part of the Israeli government. On the Palestinian side, the Palestinian Authority and its security organs, that's the 9 battalions trained by the Americans in Jordan, with Israeli support and assistance, etc., they lost control over the refugee camps of the West Bank. And some more neighborhoods. And in the refugee camps, there are many in the West Bank, about 2 or 3 around each city in the West Bank. We have seen over the past 3-4 years the emergence of armed gangs, of teenagers, who were mainly preoccupied so far with harassing the Palestinian Authority officials and security units. But now some of them, not the majority, are getting involved in the simcha, in the festival that is going on now. However, the big difference, and this is the thing to watch, the Fatah Tanzim. Tanzim means in Arabic the organization, let's call it the youth movement and membership cadres of Fatah. Many of them are armed, equipped with weapons, not knives. With the emphasis on the refugee camps. They are not joining the fray now. They are not joining the fray. They led the second intifada because they had the instructions from Arafat. Go out. Set up the production lines of suicide bombers, etc. This doesn't exist now. As long as Fatah cadres are out, this is bound to subside. This is one front, one challenge that the Israelis have to deal with. And Israel would like to finish it with as little casualties, both for us and for the Palestinians, as possible. The Israeli defense forces are trying to keep the West Bank, traffic to Israel and out of Israel and workers and commerce, etc., as open as possible, in order not to try to maintain the normalcy and not to drive additional segments of the population into action. I think it's about to subside, but it takes time, because what we are talking about is not an organized violence, but individual initiatives, and you can't predict how many we are going to have.